Hello, hello.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you. I am Sakshi, welcoming you again on behalf of Solar Quarter and First View Group to the second day of Thailand Solar Week 2022. Hope you all had a great time networking with your peers today. It's time now to start with our second part of the conference. Before that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors Platinum partners Goodby and Yokogawa Engineering Asia for extending their immense support to organize this event. I would now request my team to play the sponsor videos.
Okay, เสียงดังไม่ดีประชุมออนไลน์
Yokogawa is having an impact in many ways, both in industry and everyday life. For example, we help to secure the supply of safe water, an essential lifeline for all. Through the provision of advanced solutions for the recycling and effective use of water resources, Yokogawa has contributed to the stable supply of water. The same is true for food and pharmaceuticals. In this era of digital transformation, also known as DX, Yokogawa is making a difference in many more ways, from the quality control of materials and increase of productivity to the building of supply chains. To promote health and well-being, we provide solutions for the research and development of new drugs and the production of high-quality pharmaceuticals. Amidst a growing global demand for energy, concern about climate change is driving an energy transition. In the era of DX, Yokogawa is working with its customers in the energy industry to create new value. For the production of different types of energy resources, we provide our customers the solutions they need to reduce their environmental impact and maximize efficiency. In new energy fields, we build stable energy supply systems that factor in predictions of supply and demand and support new business models. Through the operation of energy management systems, Yokogawa is helping to achieve a sustainable society. Modern society depends on a countless variety of materials. Industries that produce these materials are facing many challenges, including recycling and the production of new, environmentally friendly materials. We closely examine manufacturing processes and leverage the potential of DX in development and production to meet the unprecedented demand for materials with new functions and characteristics that will contribute to decarbonization and be easy to recycle. By engaging in co-creation with its customers, Yokogawa is able to come up with new solutions for the handling of materials. With the aim of achieving a circular society, we co-create cutting-edge biomass-based materials and provide the necessary manufacturing technologies. Yokogawa provides a great variety of solutions, such as the Oprex lineup, that create value for its customers and point the way to a sustainable society. Through the use of machine learning to optimize models, we integrate the management of an ever more diverse range of processes all over the world. By accurately monitoring, analyzing, and predicting process conditions, we are able to respond quickly and flexibly to changes and maximize the value that is created. We ensure stable, long-term operations by constantly monitoring facilities over their entire life cycle. Having contributed to the evolution of automation, we are now making stepwise progress in the direction of smart manufacturing. Using AI, robotics, and other technologies, we are supporting a transition from automation to autonomy that will transform society as we know it. Through co-creation with our customers and partners, we will strive for the realization of a system of systems concept that will set society on a new path. Systems that power our infrastructure, companies, and homes will be directly connected and interact with each other to autonomously optimize society as a whole. Yokogawa will continue to build systems that link companies and industries all over the world and provide added value by serving as a node for the sharing of information. Utilizing our ability to measure and connect, we fulfill our responsibilities for the future of our planet. Yokogawa will continue in its endeavors to create a future where people and the Earth can coexist in symbiotic harmony.
Thank you for playing that theme. Uh, I would, without any further delay, we will initiate the proceedings of the day with Mr. Fang from Goodby, who will be highlighting his presentation on top solar plus energy storage. Welcome to screen, sir.
Yes, nice to meet you guys. Just let me share my screen.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so today I will introduce you our new product called the ESG2. Here is a system diagram. You can see our ESG2 have the PV input. Here is where the PV panel can connect to our inverter and also the battery input port as this grid connection port. And also another feature is we have this backup port. You can connect your critical loads into this backup load. And if the grid just went down and the critical loads will keep running. Here is a comparison with our ES generation 1. You can see here our MPPT current is now up to 16 ampere. And
Thank you.
another feature about this new product is the grid output. Now we support about 2 times the nominal power. Max can reach 10 kilowatt power. And also the backup power now we can support like 10 seconds the 2 times the nominal power to support the grid to support the load operating. And next is about the protections. You can see we have the Type 2 DC surge arrestor and Type 3 AC surge arrestor. Also, we have an also a also it's optional to choose whether you should have this DC arc fault circuit interrupter. And also we support this Wi-Fi plus LAN and the 4G this communication functions. Next, I want to introduce you is a parallel solution. You can see here with uh, our ESG2 supports 3 unites parallel connection, and the switch time for this whole system will be in the less than 10 microseconds, which is a UPS level switching time. And once the grid just shut down and your backup loads will keep running, and the switch time is seamless. And also, the maximum parallel connection number is 16 unites, but it will make it as a switch time will reach a EPS level switch time. And this is about the configuration. You only need to connect your phone to our Easy Link by the Bluetooth. Also, our during the parallel connection, we will like form a master and a slave structure, and you only need to connect with the master inverter and setting the Wi-Fi LAN parameters, and the whole system will connect to the internet. And you can see here we also have a new feature called the smart load control, which means we can have a for our ESG2 we have a dry contact. You can connect this contact to control the critical loads of less importance like the heat pump or any other like heavy loads like the microgrids, and you can set in our app to choose the operation modes like the power switch mode or the time mode or the backup load mode. And also we have some reversed SOC for the battery if also for the loads. Next is our microgrid integration. You can see here we are using this AC coupled inverter called SFBPG2. It's another it's like the sister the brother of the ESG2, which does not have the PV input. But in the backup side, it can support the PV inverter. You can connect the PV inverter by by ATS and connect to the backup load side. And during the grid is like fall down, and the PV inverter can continue to generation power to support your critical loads. Also, if the load is like too heavy, we have this output frequency control logic. Also, our ESG2 is compatible with the diesel generator. You can see here, you can use the dry contact to control the generator to operate or to shut down. Next, about the communication system, you can see here our phone can communicate with the inverter by the Bluetooth, Wi-Fi or LAN, and also the inverter can communicate with our GoodWe server, and you can see the data on your website by our Sims portal apps. Next is about our optional solution. As a safety solution, we have the Type 2 DC surge protection and Type 3 AC surge protection. Also, GoodWe's AFCR has reached 3.0, so trip time will reach zero point 0.1 second, and the AC triple arc power can reach, which can sense the 16.7 J, and the detection distance has now reached 200 meters. And next about the essential backup solution. During the grid shutdown, our inverter can support two times the nominal power for 10 seconds to withstand the heavy loads, which is quite important to support your loads operating. Also, another feature is about the PV overloading. You have a 5 kilowatt inverter, and you can connect 7.5 kilowatt panels to our inverter. So you can see here the maximum input power can reach 7.5, and for the 6 kilowatt ESG2, we can support 9 kilowatt panels. And also this backup overloading, which means you can get the 5 kilowatt power from the panel and 5 kilowatt power from the grid, and totally you will like put 10 kilowatt hour 10 kilowatt to support your loads operate. And also this VPP integration ability. GoodWe server can provide API for the retailer to do the API stuff to do the VPP supporting. And here are some compatible batteries. You can see here we're compatible with our GoodWe batteries called the LinksU. It's a low voltage battery. Also LG Chemistry, BYD, Pylontech, and Dynasis. Next is about our commercial and industry. We have two machines for this. First is a 100 kilowatt one. It's called the ETC. It's also a DC coupled solution. You can put your panels into our inverter, and also the batteries and the loads and the on-grid ports. And this is a 15 kilowatt VTC, which is not supporting like directly connecting the panel into our inverter, but which can support the batteries backup load and the on-grid side. And also our battery called the LinksC battery, which is all-in-one solution. You can see we will put the battery into our cabinet and have a PCU in here, and this solution is quite suitable for various transport tools like the forklift or the elevator. And our system is really convenient for the maintenance because we have this LCD screen here. You can do the settings or the commission on our screen. You can see here are some icons, and also the independent plug out modules. If the module just broke, and you can replace it with a new module, and the system can just move on to operate. And also this movable and lockable walls. Our smart energy control system. GoodWe is willing to share our protocol to the EMS companies, and you can use our protocol to control the whole system. Thank you. That's all for my presentation.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation, Mr. Fang. I'm sure we all have a lot of key takeaways from there. Um what kind of a regulatory intervention and financial incentive is needed by the Thai government to make rooftop energy more attractive for CNI customers with foreign investment? To answer this and many more important discussions, we have an elite panel today. Please allow me to introduce Mr. Bancha from Gunkul Engineering Company Limited, Mr. Fang from Goodby, Mr. Stephen from Green Yellow Road, Thailand, Mr. Ping from CleanMax, Thailand. I welcome all the panelists on screen and request Mr. Stephen to lead the discussion. I would also request all the speakers to introduce themselves.
All right. Thank you, Saxi, for the nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. Always a pleasure to discuss solar, renewable energy in Thailand. Just a quick word. So I'm Stéphane Dufresne. I'm the head of business development for Green Yellow Thailand. Green Yellow is a long-term operator and investors in solar plants operating in Thailand under the PPA model. We will explain later on what it is. And just another heads up, I was not supposed to be the moderator this afternoon. I'm a backup plan, so apology if my moderating skills are not at matching the expectation of the audience. I'll try my best in this unusual hybrid role, moderator and panelist at the same time. Before we dive in, I'd like to give the floor to my fellow panelists to introduce themselves and a quick word about their position and companies, and then we will jump in into the discussion. So maybe Mr. Bancha, you want to start?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stephen. Thank you, Sachi, and all panelists, Kun Panurak and Saitin Feng. Thank you for your support and sponsor, Goodby and Yokogawa. I'm Bancha Yatip, the position Assistant Project Director in Cancun Engineering Public Company Limited. This is the third time to involve with the solar quarter. Good afternoon. Thank you very much invite to join this solar quarter in Thailand. The situation and PPA in Thailand is very big change. We're waiting until on December 9 December we'll announce next PPA. Thank you very much. Okay, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Stephen. That's it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Panupak or Ping, checking in from CleanMax, Thailand. Just to give you a little bit of the background of the company, the CleanMax is a private PPA investor, and that's the only business we do. Is only and key the focus that we're doing, right? And in general, the CleanMax is an investor, and we can sign the power purchase agreement, invest for the project for our clients. I'm sure everyone is well aware of what the PPA is, and how competitive the PPA is today in Thailand industry. Yeah, so I look forward to discussing the topic with everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Panupak. Mr. Feng, you want to add after your presentation on Goodby inverters?
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. So, as you all know, Goodby, we are doing well in the residential and the commercial industry, both for the PV and for the energy storage. So, I'm glad to join your meeting. Yeah.
Thank you. Have we covered all the panelists? I'm not sure, Saxi. Are we three
Yeah,
panelists?
yes, that's all the panelists we have
That's
today.
all the panelists and myself in an hybrid role. All right. So before we dive in, maybe just I give a quick overview of the solar landscape in Thailand. So what we can say is that Thailand has been a pioneer in solar in the Southeast Asia region, starting very, very early with some, let's say, pilot program for feed-in tariff and everything way before any other countries. And Thailand is still wants to increase solar renewable part. So maybe, I don't know if the audience will be more interested. So right now, there is a feed-in tariff program in place. It's a plan involving also wind, ground mount plus storage with a feed-in tariff with EGAT and the government. So that may not be the topic of today, but if the panelists wants to comment on that, feel free. And I suggest today we focus more on the private PPA self-injection programs, Rooftop, with the green electricity going directly into the MDB or into the factory or the retail, whatever activities is under the roof. So what we can say about this CNI program Rooftop, especially now where the FT is rocketing high in Thailand, there is two options for, let's say, the customers. Either they do the investment by themselves, that we can nickname it by acronym EPC, or they let companies like Green Yellow or CleanMax do the investment and carry the investment for them under the BOOT model, build, own, operate, and transfer, signing a PPA agreement. So maybe Mr. Panupak, I give you the floor to explain the difference between EPC model or self-investment model and power purchase agreement.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Stefan. So the key difference between CapEx and OpEx is just, CapEx or EPC model is a model where the customer invest in the project, 100% invest themselves in the project. So the customer has to pay for the cost of the project, and after that there will be maintenance activities and everything. Basically, you're paying for the system, right? So you're the owner of the asset, and it means you have to take care of the system and everything after that. Whereas an OpEx model or a private PPA, that's what they call it in Thailand, private PPA model. It's a model where an investor like Green Yellow or CleanMax, we invested in 100% for our customers. Starting from the project finance, procurement of material, equipment, and everything, as well as O&M activities through the term of the agreement. And then we sign a binding contract between the investor and our customer. And the key obligation that our customer has to is liable to is just to uptake the electricity that's generated from the solar system. Yeah, that's the key obligation. And in this model, in my own opinion, I feel it's a much better option, compared to CapEx, because it allows our customer to go green, and you can get carbon credit from the solar system. You can go green, and you can get a lot of savings, from the discount rate from the electricity that you have to buy from investor, without putting any investment in this. And as well as you don't have to own the asset, so all the hedge that comes with with the ownership of the asset, that's also gone also. Yeah, that's just a brief about the main differences between CapEx and OpEx model. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panupak, for the explanation. So to try to summarize the advantage of the PPA model or the BOOT model, the BOOT, build, own, operate, and transfer. There is no investment upfront for the customers, no OPEX cost during the duration of the PPA, which is 10, 15, up to 20 years. And the investor and operator, whether it's Green Yellow or CleanMax, we guarantee the performance. So this really gives the peace of mind of the customer, and he can be one step closer of this CO2 footprint reduction, and also he can focus his time and his money on his key activities, on his core business. So that's the major difference between a self-investment and a PPA model. So how does it work? You would ask me. For the investor and operator is remuneration, because we invest everything. capex study, installation, construction, operation. So again, in Thailand, you cannot inject into the grid. So all the green electricity generated will be consumed by the consumer, most likely under the roof. And basically, whether it's green, yellow, or clean max, we will charge the electricity, the green electricity, at a discounted price compared to the grid tariff. So the consumer will make some savings. So it's a win-win for the investors and for the end consumer. Maybe Mr. Bancha from Gankul, pardon my candid question. I don't know if you are also in the private B2B model like Green Yellow or Clean Max, or will you be more focusing on the new program of the farm with the feed-in tariff? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Okay, thank you for this question. I would like to share right now in Thailand, very big change about the PPA, and we focus on the carbon credit, carbon reduce, and or solar rooftop and solar farm, solar floating plus BESS. Right now, ERC, as you know, is like a energy regulation announced to new PPA coming. Every private, every company would like to join, and right now we announced already three times. Three times means more than ERC identify only 5,203 megawatt, and it's over demand. It's like a quite a very big capacity coming, and that's why solar rooftop, solar farm, solar floating in Thailand is growing up. And I would like to share about the COP and COP 76 and 77. The government would like to avoid the tax barrier to export to European. As we know, the strain, fertilizer, coal, and mining is the tax barrier already, and that's why we would like to get the carbon credit and carbon footprint to for the reduction and to tax barrier to is very important for the this issue in Thailand. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bancha. And I think you're right to mention the COP 26, 27, and the next one. And Thailand has a very ambitious targets towards carbon neutrality. I think Thailand wants to be carbon neutral in 2065, and solar is definitely one big piece of the solution. Of course, there is other solution with electrical vehicle, maybe hydrogen and everything, but let's focus on solar. And you mentioned also about European regulation. Of course, it's a very good point. So in Europe, the regulation is changing, and for every country, not only Thailand, who want to import their goods in Europe, they will have to prove somehow that they do something. They have a CSR roadmap. They have some actions to reduce their CO2 footprint. Otherwise, Europe will put in place some penalties for importers into Europe. So I guess we cannot stop the trend. We just need to accelerate the trend. So what we can say is that there is every solar is very versatile. We can do ground mount, we can do rooftop, we can do pumps, we can do carports. Of course, the challenge is to find the space, and because today we are still in the self-consumption, so the space needs to be not too far away from the MDB or from the factory or from the end customers. But it's very versatile, and it can suit any kind of factories, whether it's a food business or non-food business, all kind of industries, whether it's a textile, whether it's plastic, whether it's electronics, you name it. So that's the key message. And of course, solar is very well suited for all customers with heavy electrical consumptions, ideally more than 1 million Thai baht per month, with roof space. Having, let's say, the electricity provider as a PEA or MEA. And if we are looking into an investment perspective so far, of course, there is a limitation in the Thai regulation. It's ideal if the customers consume electricity a minimum of 6 days a week, ideally 7 days a week, because solar will produce every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in Thailand. And if there is no activity under the roof, let's say on Sunday, we have to shut down the system remotely and not to inject into the grid. So this is still a limitation of the regulation in Thailand. We cannot inject into the grid, which is somehow hampers the growth of solar and many activities like the dry logistics, where we have a lot of roofs, but no real consumption underneath, cannot benefit from solar because we cannot inject into the grid. So maybe, Mr. Panupak, can you try to guide us through what could be which kind of change in regulation can unlock solar in Thailand and help even dry logistic companies or small shops to benefit from green energy?
Right. Thank you, Stefan. Yeah. So like Mr. Dufresne has mentioned just now that a big restriction at the moment in Thailand that uh, considering the grid tie on grid system or grid connection system. At the moment, we are not able. Customer is not allowed. No, I'm sorry. Just the corporate, they're not allowed to supply power back to the grid, and that means whenever there's a surplus between the factory consumption and the solar power, the solar power, the system itself will be shut down as per the grid code or whatever it is. That means a loss to customers, to corporates in Thailand. So if possible, yeah, we look forward for the government to kind of loosen this policy to allow all the corporates or CNI customers to be able to supply power back to the grid. You can charge as per unit, like for example, a few cent fee per unit, something like that, as an incentive. Just for PA and where the local discount itself. Yeah, and that will have a big difference. It will drive a lot in the solar industry. And the other point that I would like to mention is that from what I understand, recently, I think ERC has announced a new sandbox policy for this willing charge or open access. Actually, this policy is a very good policy that may have a major impact to energy industry. Because this billing charge or open access policy, the policy itself allows you to just put up the power plant, for example, solar farm anywhere, and you can supply power back to the grid transmission line, and you can accredit the whatever you need the units that you a power that you have created from the system, and with with this policy, it will allow our customer to go green 100%. Even if your office is in Bangkok and you don't have much space for solar, you can put your solar farm anywhere in the upcountry and kind of accredit it. We have a big drive to the industry, to the renewable industry. Yeah, that's from my point of view. Thank you. So.
Absolutely, Mr. Fanufak. I think as Green Yellow, we are in the same business. We are competitors, but we share the same conclusion on the market. So to sum up for the audience, two regulation could unlock the business. So the net metering, so we could inject the excess of solar into the grid. So that would enable us to build a bigger solar plants, and if the factory or doesn't work on Sundays, the solar which it produce, and we could inject the solar production into the grid and get a feed-in tariff, even modest for that. That could help also. And the wheeling, just for people joining us from other countries, it's called the DPPA in Vietnam, CPPA, corporate PPA in Europe or in Brazil. The idea is that you build a big solar farm of 30, 40, 50 megawatts, and you can inject the green electricity into the grid, and even a factory located 2,000 kilometers away from this big farm can claim that she's using green electricity. So there is a sandbox program actually in place. In Thailand, things sometimes are evolving slowly, but they are evolving in the right direction. So hopefully there will be a official kickoff of this wheeling or DPPA or CPPA program very, very soon in Thailand. Another thing we could add to something which can also unlock the solar. Of course, we don't compare always apple to apple, but compared to other countries in Southeast Asia, the rate take process in Thailand is very, very challenging and tedious. What I'm putting behind red tape is all the permitting and licensing needed to generate electricity, solar electricity, whether you have to have an authorization from DD, from ERC, from PA or MEA. We understand there is a process, but there is certainly also room. If some people from the government are listening to us today, there is room for improvement in our red tape to make it maybe more streamlined, maybe talk to only one agency instead of talking to three. That will accelerate the time to connection to the grid, and maybe more the appetite for consumer to move to solar. So that was my add up to what you mentioned, Mr. Panupak. Mr. Bencha, you want to add something on the regulation of solar in Thailand?
Yeah, the solar in Thailand is regulation. I would like to share to everyone. The regulation is the influence to the PPA, because the regulation before 10 years ago, we have regulation adder. Adder is means like a plus merlist to who is the interesting invest to the solar farm in plus 3.5 baht, something like that. And right now regulation is no subsidized, and the PPA, new PPA, very low. It's like a small cost. It's not interesting to the investor. But the new PPA plus, like for example, solar farm plus BESS, ERC, very important, because this is the new solar technology plus BESS, because the peak shaving and the time, and solar, as we know, the solar is daytime, but in nighttime, okay, we have the battery, but it's the selling and buying BESS is the first project. As Kun Panupak said, wheeling charge is very important, because wheeling charge is the high cost. The transmission line, the property owner by the utility, EGAT, PA or MEA, but private sector still use the transmission line, and ERC is very important to define and regulation to, it's like a equal, like a subsidy, and invite all investor come to invest the solar and renewable energy. As we know, the capacity in Thailand is a big change now. We raise the announced what, yeah, we raise the announced by ERC for 5,203 megawatts. Okay, thank you, Mr. Swinson.
Thank you, Mr. Bancha, for sharing. And you mentioned ESS, so that's acronym with energy storage. So maybe we can jump without further ado into the storage, because a lot of people, that's a typical question when you discuss about solar. People ask, what about storage? Of course, solar plant in Thailand are like very irregular from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. unless only during the rainy season there is some hiccups, and there is a lot of question about storage in Thailand, and how can we install storage, and we need help to go to further reduce the CO2 consumption. So a lot of factories, they do solar, they're the first things to do, and after that solar helps, but we need to go the extra mile. So a lot of people are now asking the question about storage. I wish we still had Mr. Zhang for Goodwe in the chat, but somehow he has been disconnected. So I know, Sakshi, you are trying to recontact him because I would have loved to have his expertise on the technology for hybrid inverter and storage. Hopefully, he can join us back very soon. But maybe Mr. Fanpak, you can comment overall on storage. What are the current limitation? It's my point of view. Sorry to maybe you don't share my point of view. Current limitation of a storage solution in Thailand.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen, for that. From what I've seen in the market recently, like from the last 1-2 years, this ESS or energy storage system has becoming more and more popular for some reason. But anyways, from the point of view as an investor in the private PPA industry, we still find it not very a good investment at the moment, because there are a few reasons to that. The first point is that if you add the solar system plus the storage system, the cost adds up almost double. So when the cost becomes double, or maybe not that much, but whatever it is, right? The cost increases, and when the cost increase, it affects everything, the economic and many factors of the project. That's one. And in Thailand, I've seen that many of our customers, they're following this TOU tariff, and because most of them have a lot of load or a lot of demand for electricity in the daytime, and when it comes to the night, let's say if you cannot consume solar power and you want to keep it to use in the night, because of this TU tariff, it becomes a little bit challenging, because the tariff itself in the daytime is quite high, like 4 baht, 4 THB per kilowatt hour. But in the night, it becomes almost half. It becomes like, let's say, from what I understand, I think it's 2.6 something THB per kilowatt hour. So if you want to do storage system, considering the payback of against the grid tariff, which is half in the night, the payback can become longer. That's why from an investor point of view, we find it not very, very attractive at the moment. Maybe in near future, let's say if there's more demand of electricity, or there's more demand, or there's a mandate from these MNC to go green, to get as much carbon as possible. Maybe there's a trade-off for that's possible for our customer to implement this ESS system. Yeah, that's all from me for this ESS system.
Thank you for sharing, and sorry to go on the spot, because we know storage is a hot topic in the conversation in Thailand, but I share your view so far. There is no economics in storage in Thailand, because the difference pricing in tariff between on-peak and off-peak is too limited. So and the battery, even there has been some improvement in the last couple of years, remains very, very expensive. So of course we can do storage. We're happy to do it as an investors, or even as a self-investment, but people need to be aware that storage will not have any economic feasibility, let's say savings, but it's more to go an extra mile with a CSR. Maybe to go out a little bit of Thailand about storage again, to talk about the Southeast Asia. In Vietnam, storage is more popular, let's say, also in the discussion, but also in the execution, because in Vietnam there is, in the industrial estate, a peak tariff at the end of the day between 4 and 7 p.m. So during those 3 hours, the tariff is crazy. It's really running super high. So here in that specific consideration, storage makes perfect sense. You store the battery at night and you start discharging during this peak tariff, or you can store the battery during the day with some excess of solar if there is. So in Vietnam, the storage is more easy to be deployed because there is the economic feasibility which doesn't exist in Thailand yet. And also Indonesia, storage is becomes popular, especially on the islands, but I guess this is more island rather than Indonesia. So storage is still remains a heavy investment, heavy capex, and it really depends on how the grid tariff is carved out. And so far, also there is no incentives in Thailand for storage. I'm not sure the storage is eligible to the BOI. I'm not Thai, so pardon my ignorance on that, but this is a point I leave it open for the audience to check offline if the storage is eligible to the BOI tax exemption and stuff like that. I got a message in the same time from our dear host Sakshi, and unfortunately they cannot find Mr. Fang from Goodwe. So we won't have a clear view on innovation in terms of storage and hybrid inverter. So maybe one thing for the audience, and I'm sure everybody is savvy in solar and technology, but adding storage to an existing PV plant is not possible because you would have to change the inverters, replace the existing inverter in place by a hybrid technology, and maybe by replacing the inverter without the within the time frame of the BOI, you will lose your BOI privileges. So storage, it's a complete different ball game. So, but still something which will come. So let's conclude on storage because Mr. Fang is not here, unfortunately. Apology for that to the audience. Maybe what we could discuss about is the what people call at large the renewable attributes. A lot of people talk about RECs, IRECs, carbon credits. So maybe Mr. Bancha or Mr. Fanupak, you want to jump in to discuss about those renewable attributes? Mr. Bancha, you feel like you can talk about RECs or carbon credits in Thailand?
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. I wanted to share the carbon tax. Right now, in carbon credit, a carbon market in Thailand, it's like it's a big market because we have the 4 section to it's like the one for make a new plant. New plant is mean that increase area to make a new plant for calculate to carbon credit, ton kilo carbon. The second, we use the EV car, electric vehicle car, and renewable energy to it's like a promotion. It's like you said, BOI is very important because this is the competition is like an advantage to invest. And we know the economics right now. Usually we concern to LCOE, NPV, LCC, and right now we have gas energy emission gas, the factor. It must be calculated with the LCL, life cycle cost also, to compare and calculation to reduce the carbon ton per kilowatt hour. That's why we would like to get the carbon credit, and carbon tax is very important. Carbon footprint and carbon emission, this must be reduced in Thailand. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Bancha, for your for shedding some light on the carbon credit. Maybe for the audience, so carbon credit somehow speaks by itself. Is tons of CO2 you have avoided if you consume green energy from solar. Maybe I should have clarified first what REC means. So it's a renewable energy certificate. And this renewable energy certificate corresponds to the equivalent of 1 megawatt hour of green electricity produced during 1 year. So everybody who is the owner of a power plant or even let's say, beneficiate from a power purchase agreement of a power plant can claim those REC, renewable energy certificates. So there is a program in place under EGAT umbrella. It's called here in Thailand the IREC, I for international. So this IREC program is for 20 countries, including most of the countries in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam. So in Thailand is under EGAT umbrella, in Vietnam will be under EVN, also present in South America. And every owner or let's say end user of a solar plant can claim the carbon credit per year. So Green Yellow is happy to help his customer to claim their carbon credit every year and help them to issue their carbon credit certificate. So this is something which is very under government officials, so that's something very regulated, but it's a clean proof that the companies, the MNCs can show that they're really acting to reduce their carbon footprint. So carbon credit is a new thing, and for companies who want to go the extra mile and cannot install more solar because roof limitation, no backyard, no pump, they can buy and purchase carbon credits or REC certificates. There is a trading place in Thailand, so they can buy those certificates, those green certificates, to further, let's say, reduce virtually their carbon footprint. So it's a kind of a compensation mechanism, but it's also part of the tools available to be carbon neutral per se. How could I say it's clear? It's a little bit technical. Maybe Khun Phanupak, you want to add to the carbon credit or RECs mechanism?
Yes, Stephen. To, on the mechanism or the registration process itself, I'm not very well acquainted with the same, but just to give a general idea of these carbon trading scheme. From what I understand, there is not only RECs, but there are a lot of other standards also. Yeah, depending on the zone. Like EU, they have one. In EU, they have one standard. In the US, they're following something like that. Yeah, but like Mr. Stephen has mentioned that end of the day, everyone is eligible for the credit. If you have a renewable energy source, you can claim for that. And it depends on country to country, location to location. How the organization or the standard itself will accredit it. For example, in Thailand today, from what I understand, just correct me if I'm wrong, but one kilowatt hour of electricity that is generated from the green energies is equivalent to 0.5, 0.4 something, tons of CO2, something like that. Which, let's say in India or in other country, this conversion rate may not be same. Yeah, and in other day, it's a credit that let's say those big MNC or corporates, they're committed to the society that we want to go green by this much percentage by, let's say, in the next 5 years, something like that. Yes, yeah, that's the a brief about the carbon trading scheme is. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you for chipping in, because we know it's a very technical topic, the RECs and the carbon credit. Sakshi, I'm not sure because is there any topics that we should try to cover in the remaining 15 minutes of this conversation?
I doubt we have any more question and answers today. So I think we will be just concluding the session. I would like to extend our gratitude to everyone for investing their valuable time and support for the event. And many, many thanks to you, Mr. Dufresne. You did an excellent job. And again, we can't tell you how much indebted we are that for your willingness to chip, pitch in as a moderator. We hope the key
Thank you.
takeaways from the session were instrumental for our audience and for the planet in general in paving the way for sustainability. We promise to come back with more exciting topics very soon. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much,
Bye-bye.
Mr. Stephen,
Thank you,
Sasha.
everyone.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Panupak.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.